My name is Greg Mengarelli, Mayor of the City of Prescott, and your host for Prescott Today. Today we're going to take a look at 2019, and we're also going to kind of take a look forward at 2020 and what we have in the future here at the City of Prescott. I have two guests today, Mayor Pro Tem Billie and City Manager Michael Lamar. Thanks for joining me today.
Glad to be here, Mayor.
Absolutely.
Well, we have a lot to talk about, guys. 2019 was a banner year for the city.
It
was a banner.
Before we do that, Billie, congratulations
Thank
on
you.
your new term on the City Council. You were just sworn in recently.
Yes, and congratulations to you as well, Mayor.
Well, thank you. I only
Yes.
get 2 years. You get 4.
Well, I know, but it's going to be a great 2 years.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. So, speaking of that, tell us a little bit about your plans for the next term that you're serving right now.
Oh my, I have a lot of plans, Mayor.
That's
I'm
not
very
a surprise
excited.
to me or you. Is it?
Well, you and I have talked about, and you've agreed to do a Mayor's Commission on Well-Being, and I'm very excited about that. I think we focus a lot on economic development. We focus a lot on tourism because that's bread and butter for the city. But at the same time, what can we do to make sure that our community is one of well-being, and how can we facilitate everyone having the knowledge for what is available, making sure that folks are connected. So we have pulled together a great group of people that want to work on the many aspects of well-being for our city. And I think it will help us get focused on some things that will be good for our citizens.
Yeah, no, that's great. I look forward to working with you
Yes,
in the next
thank you.
couple of years.
Yeah.
So let's talk about a couple of initiatives that just started about a year ago. Citizens Academy, Billie, you had a lot to do with that. Michael, you really kicked off the ambassador program. So let's talk about those two things.
Well, the Citizens Academy has been so popular. Our class that starts in January has been filled for quite a while because we can take up to about 25 people, and it's full, and that's great. And they go for 8 weeks, and it starts at 5:30 in the evenings. We have them on Thursdays, and goes until 8 o'clock at night. We feed them dinner, and we show them all the aspects of the city. And it's a great curriculum has evolved out of this. Everyone learns a lot, and they create a great camaraderie amongst the group. And they're ready for the graduate class once they finish. And it's really fun, but it's so wonderful for our citizens to learn more. And the thing that Michael and I have talked a lot about too is how great it is for the directors in the different areas to talk about what they do. And I have just watched them all grow with their presentations, and I think because they hear from the citizens, they're able to improve what they do as well.
Absolutely.
And so we've actually started filling up the second class for next year.
Oh, great.
So we're hoping to do 4 a year. We did 4 last year, and I've only heard great things. It's kind of interesting because sometimes they come in maybe with an issue or two. By the time they leave, they are our greatest ambassadors. So that's been just really a very special program.
I think they're typically really impressed with the professionalism and the knowledge that our staff have here at the city.
And the amount that we get done with what we have, which is amazing. And we also, of course, the police have their police academy, and the firefighters have their firemen's academy. So we have those on top of the Citizens Academy.
Well, thanks for starting those.
Oh, it's been fun.
A real benefit for the community. Michael, the ambassador program, tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, it's good to kind of segue from the Citizens Academy to the ambassador program because a lot of our ambassadors either started as Citizen Academy participants or started as ambassadors and became Citizens Academy participants.
Right.
The ambassador program at City Hall is a volunteer program where in our hallway, kind of greeting people as they come into City Hall, is a citizen ambassador who has general knowledge of the organization and kind of helps the person work through the bureaucratic melee, or melange, or whatever the appropriate word is, for special services in the city, whether it's community development services, planning and development, or whether it's services with the city manager's office or city council. They kind of steer them in the right direction, literally take them to the person they need to talk to about paying their water bill and what have you. And I think it's been well received. It's been fun to get to know a lot of these people because they're really great ambassadors for the city. They really understand the complexity of city government and how much is going on in city government. And I think out in the community, they're explaining to the public really what we do and what it's like to work in City Hall.
Well, it's nice to have a smiling, welcoming
It
person
is. Yes,
as soon
that's
as
a
they
big
walk
part
in.
of it.
You know, it's
Yep.
that first impression, and I applaud you for starting that program. The city and the Chamber of Commerce have co-hosted CEO roundtables
Yes.
for about a year now. And we bring in many of our CEOs here in town and have a speaker and really kind of network and collaborate. Billie, give us your impression of those CEO roundtables.
It is amazing when you look around that table. And I think now we have probably like 30 to 40 individuals, and we have the colleges there. We have all the people that we can partner with, and they can partner with each other. And it's been fun to watch how they have learned things about their community that they did not know. Because everybody, so often we get into our cell and we kind of stay in our area, our little silo. And so I have seen how they have been able to coordinate together, partner together, and I appreciate Sherry Heine and you, Mayor, for starting that program. It's just fun to go early in the morning, once a quarter, and find out what everybody's doing. So I like how everybody shares. And then, you know, at the last meeting we had the Baghdad mine,
Right.
and they presented the artificial intelligence. That was fascinating.
Yeah. Some
So,
great speakers we've had
great
there.
speakers,
So, yeah, it's
yes.
been very beneficial. Well, this is one that's very exciting in 2019, and that's our Prescott Regional Airport.
Yes.
And there's quite a bit to talk about here, but not too long ago, we just got the word from the FAA that we got $10 million,
Yes,
which was
huge.
a really big deal for us. And we're grateful for that because that really gives us the go-ahead on the terminal construction. But Michael, get us up to speed on the airport and what's going on.
Well,
out
we're
there.
hoping to host sometime in December, maybe probably earlier part of December, a groundbreaking.
Great Christmas present
Yes,
for the
exactly
city.
right. Both contractors that we've created a working relationship with are ready to get going, and we're hoping for a construction time frame of a year, maybe a little bit more. It's been a project long in coming. I know that lots of councils before this council really wanted to do this. And the fact that we got the attention of the FAA and we're making it happen, it's exciting. It's a good Christmas present. It really
Yeah, that's
is.
right. You know, and a couple other things there, guys, that we could talk about. The runway study, as well as some additional daily flights to Denver.
Right.
Yeah, that's a big deal. The flights to Denver have been so popular that United's adding a second flight. We're running at near capacity almost every flight, especially at the holiday season. And I know the mayor that we had heard earlier from our airport manager, Robin Sabata, that SkyWest and United said this is among the best launches they've ever had for United services on a regional carrier. So we're real proud of that.
Yes.
Right. That new flight does take a little sabbatical, if you will, during the summer. Because as one of my daughters always says, we're hot and high. Our airfield. And you know, because of that, you know, it's really because of the runway.
Right.
The runway is only 7,600 feet long, so we're kicking off a study that's already actually underway, I believe. How long will that study take, and what are they looking at?
It's a multi-month study. They're looking at, you know, in the summer we have high elevation, so the planes have a harder time getting off the ground when they're way down. And we've had some instances with afternoon flights where we've actually had to bus people to Phoenix. And the carrier is so excited about providing services here, we want to make sure that the runway has the length that we can go anywhere, anytime.
Right.
And we're getting a lot of positive feedback from the FAA about helping us financially extend the runway.
Great.
To get to us, you know, close to 10,000 feet, lineal feet, at that length, we could pretty much handle almost any size
That's
of
right.
plane and fly almost anywhere.
Right. So with the terminal under construction, that's going to take about a year. Really, the next big thing for us is lengthening the runway.
Yep.
Would you say?
Exactly right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let's move on. Things just keep getting better here as I look at my list for 2019. Aviation.
Yes.
Billie, what did you think of
That's
that plane?
awesome. It's a beautiful plane. She is gorgeous, Alice. She's absolutely beautiful. And so that's going to be fun to be with these guys and to help them any way we can with aviation to get that moving and keep it here in Prescott. What an opportunity for our city
Yep.
to have the manufacturing opportunity for this plane that will truly change aviation.
Yeah,
All
absolutely.
electric,
That's
9
right.
passenger, 2 pilots. It's beautiful.
Michael, give our viewers just a quick overview if they've never heard of
Yeah,
Aviation.
sure. Aviation is an Israeli startup company. They're almost beyond the label of startup now. Once you have, $250 million of investment, that's a pretty good start, right? Yeah. They are creating the first all-electric airplane, 9-seat aircraft called Alice. And they are doing ground testing of Alice here in Prescott. They they being Aviation, did an amazing renovation on an old hangar. They spent close to $1 million. It's spotless. I know you guys have both been out there.
Looks state of the art.
We should have taken more before and after photos because that place was not in the condition it is now about 6 months ago.
Right.
And they're going to do all the ground testing here. And the idea is to provide electric aviation for upwards of about a 600-mile radius at about 250 miles per hour. It really has the ability to change the commuting. We were talking the other day with somebody, and that you literally could be in Phoenix in 23 minutes on this aircraft.
And the cost of that flight's about $25 each way.
At $25 a passenger each way, it's a little over $200 total.
Yeah.
Which is crazy versus your old combustible engine.
That's the value proposition, right?
Yes, it is.
Is the affordability and the regional jumps.
And the clean energy. You don't leave a carbon footprint. And I don't think you guys might not have seen it. They won Time Magazine's Invention of the Year.
Oh, outstanding.
Alice
I
is
did
Time.
not see that. That's
I'll have
wonderful.
to send you a link. It's
and they are such amazing people that are coming from Israel to do this project. And the fact that they want to work with Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University, and they've hired how many engineers now, Michael?
It's 4 or 5 engineers, and they've brought Riddle kids back that are in their mid-20s, and it's really exciting.
It is, and I know Mayor wants to keep it right here.
Wants to build the integration facility, which is basically a fancy term for manufacturing and putting the planes together here. He has over hundreds of orders for the aircraft with at least 2 regional carriers in the States interested. Not just interested, already secured planes. It really is quite exciting.
Two things I want to mention, then we'll move on. One is talk a little bit about the FAA certification and the time frame around that, as well as if they do their integration facility here, what do you see for the timeline?
Okay. And so they're going to do ground testing here, and they need to be close to an FAA facility, so they're going to do the air testing in Moses Lake, Washington. And Omer Bar Yohei, the CEO's hope is to do about 18 months of certification analysis and training with the FAA. And then at that end of the 18-month period, what you'll have is hopefully a prototype that has FAA approval to be manufactured. And his hope, and our hope, is that the manufacturing would be done here in Prescott.
Right.
It will be hundreds of jobs. It'll be average wages of $80,000 to $85,000 a year. It'll employ not just engineers, but technicians that could be trained at Yavapai College. And we really shout out to both Yavapai and Embry-Riddle
Absolutely.
for their interest and support with making this project possibly bringing it to fruition.
Well,
so what size facility are they looking at doing?
Between 60 and 100,000 square feet.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, and there's some properties we've looked at the airport. They obviously need airport access at some level. Yeah. And the nice thing, too, is the trickle-down or secondary industries that come along. You get, they call it a supply chain. So the components and everything that goes into the aircraft could be co-located here as well.
Yeah, that's great. Well, we could talk a lot more about that. Folks could Google search Aviation. Just put an E in front of aviation instead of the A, and you can find out a lot more information there. I truly believe we have a tiger by the tail here.
Yeah.
And we don't really truly know what we have.
Yeah.
I mean, we think we do, but this is an amazing economic driver for the city if we can land those jobs. Well, let's move on and talk a little bit about downtown and just kind of think through, Billie, some of the things that we've done or are doing in the downtown area.
Well, Mayor, we opened the Western Heritage Center this year, and that's where the old rancher's wife used to be, and great corrals about all the different areas of Western heritage that's in our city. And just, right behind that is Whiskey Row Alley. that we're going to cut a ribbon on the mural, and that's going to happen the night of Acro Night.
Oh, great.
So yeah, that'd be a fun thing to do right before, with everything that's going on downtown. Cleaning that whole alley up, they've washed down the garage, I know, and I think it's just going to be a very bright spot. And then moving on up from Whiskey Row Alley, of course, is that, what Founding Fathers, what they're creating, and on beyond that then is the Hilton Garden Inn. And so now at the Hilton Garden right now we have the staircases are in, the elevator shaft is in, so you can really get a perception of where that hotel will sit, right there with the railroad bridge there and Sam Hill Hardware behind, and the beautiful park that's going to be Cities, and a full restaurant. It is going to be so much. This will open probably in the fall of next year, so 2020 will be a very big year for downtown.
Yeah, no, that's really good. You gave a great overview, a lot of projects. Michael, I want you to fill in any gaps if you want to add a little color to that.
One thing we should talk about too, I think, is a shout out to some of the private partners we have.
Yep.
We're just talking about Omar, and another private partner that you couldn't ask for a better partner is the Shumways, who are building the Hilton Garden Inn.
Yep.
And we really want, and the Shumways want, a local flavor to that hotel. They're interested in having a restaurant that has a local connection. They were telling me the other day, and I was telling you, Mayor, about the artwork they want to have on the walls. They really want to accent being here in Prescott. But I think that's something that both Aviation and the Shumway Group share. They really seem to appreciate being here and being part of this community. And when you go do public-private partnerships, these guys are like the poster children of who you want to work with.
They are. And we're soon going to be meeting with Judge Pat Norris and the Shumways, because Pat's family, she's now in the Valley, retired judge. She's the chair of Arizona Town Hall, and her family owned the Sam Hill. And she has all kinds of memorabilia that she wants to share with the Shumways. So it's a nice piece of history that's truly going to come alive, and how that we've brought this all back.
Right.
That bridge now will be prominent.
Yep.
The warehouse will be prominent. And then, of course, the park behind. It's fabulous. And right there next to the Granite Creek corridor, which will be another huge plus next year. We're going to get that moving along, clean that all up.
Talk a little bit about that Granite Creek corridor, what that entails.
Sure. There is the Granite Creek Trail, and I'm sure a lot of you have probably been on it. It's very pretty. It's, I like to say, or bring to people's attention, how many communities in Arizona actually have a creek running through it, and we're so lucky to have that.
Yes.
Over the course of time, that area has been less than hospitable to people in some respects. And one of the things we're doing is just having a private-public partnership with the private community that actually owns property along it, and the city cleaning it up. It's basically going to serve as a linkage from Hilton Garden all the way back to Elgato and beyond. And sometimes when the city does things, if you look at it at one piece at a time, you don't really get the totality of the idea. We're really trying to link our downtown with positive new things.
And the Lazy G wants it to come all the way to the Lazy G brew house.
And the alley. And all of these things are in the same area. And they're all going to be new, exciting experiences for our residents and visitors.
Yes. Yeah.
Really cool stuff. Whiskey Row Alley, parking garage, Hilton Garden Inn, the new park next to the Hilton Garden Inn, Sam Hill Warehouse, Granite Creek Corridor. Lots there going on. It's really cool.
A lot of great things for our tourists, but Mayor, it's a lot of great things for our citizens. And then I think everybody's going to really enjoy what we're doing there.
Absolutely.
It's important, Mayor, too. I don't mean to interrupt you, but I was just thinking about something. Sometimes we hear, oh, you're changing town, and I'm like, we're not changing anything. We're shining it up.
Yep.
That's our job.
Every one of these, you started with the Heritage Center and walked through all those, Mayor Pro Tem, and every one of these really does preserve what we love about our heritage, but it cleans it up. It brightens it up. It highlights it in the case of the train trestle and Sam Hill Warehouse. So really, we have amazing assets in our heritage, and we're just highlighting it.
And the other part of this has been Prescott College, and what a delightful partner they've been.
John Flicker's a great guy.
Awesome guy. And so he's been delightful to work with.
That's right. And something else
And
that's
APS.
going to happen, and we probably should wait till we talk about 2020 here, but President Flicker is looking to change that whole APS
Right.
yard and warehouse that was into a beautiful campus, and he wants to implement a lot of different community ideas
Yes.
into that and share it with the community.
Yeah.
It's so nice to have a gentleman like John Flicker who's like, you know what, this could be all about Prescott College, this site, but it's not. It's about this whole place. Let's master plan it. Let's make the best of a really cool location.
So Michael and I were at Prescott Good Governors last night, and it was fun. There were several Prescott College students that were there.
Right.
That kind of came forward and said, I want to help.
Which is so nice
However
to
I
see
can
young
help, I
people
wanna help.
engaged.
Yeah,
It really is great.
it's awesome.
Real quick, Michael, talk a little bit about code compliance. I know it used to be called code enforcement. You've made a change in the name, code and compliance, and talk about that and the cleanups that Tyler's done.
Yeah,
as well.
there's two ways to do things. You either have a carrot or a stick. And one of the things we've decided that this community kind of responds better to carrots. And so under Tyler Goodman's leadership, our code enforcement officers are now code compliance officers. And basically what they're doing is they're finding areas in town that need a little more attention and having neighborhood cleanups. The idea being we'll bring some dumpsters and try to coordinate an event and have some city staff, but we're also trying to partner with the people that own property or residents to kind of take a little bit more pride of ownership, have a cleanup, and then focus our compliance attention on bringing people into compliance at the cleanup and post the cleanup instead of kind of whacking them over the head with an enforcement.
Yeah,
document.
I love it. I appreciate the positive
Yeah.
approach on that. So let's talk about water. 2019 will be remembered as our new water policy. We really kicked the year off with a couple water policy or water studies, I should say, from Gary Woodard, Herb Dishlip, and that really kicked off new insight, new data to really get to a better water policy that assures our water well into the future. So, Billie, what are your thoughts on that?
For me, Mayor, it's the fact, and I always credit you and Michael on this. You came forward and you said, the water's just not adding up. It just doesn't seem, the numbers, the data doesn't seem real. And that's when we did those two studies. And now that we have the real data, I mean, we're talking about exactly how much water we use, and then what we're going to need in the future. So I think both of those two programs that we're using, the worm and the mort, whatever it's called, they're going to help us project and then also look at usage all the time. The fact that we heard the other day that we have over allocated 1,500 acre feet of water. I mean, that's a lot of water.
And tell us a little bit more. What does that mean for the viewers we over allocated?
For example, when Prescott Lakes was built, every home in Prescott Lakes was allocated 0.35 acre feet of water.
Per house.
Because per house, every unit got that much. But every house is using about 0.17 acre feet of water.
So we were doubled down.
We doubled down. And we were even telling people, we put a moratorium. That my second year, I believe, on council, we put a moratorium on building. And quite frankly, there's more than enough water. At the same time, some people are saying now you're thinking you can go out and grow. The area will grow, but how great it is to know and to be able to assure our citizens that we do have that water and we're going to conserve that water. Mm-hmm. And the more that we can have influence out in the rest of the AMA as far as water, then it's better for the AMA because we're able to water, recharge, and our recharge now is about 90%.
On new home construction, it's
amazing.
Between 90 and 95% of the water that goes through the system comes
That's
back
huge.
through the system and is
Very
directly
good.
recharged.
So talk a little bit about, Michael, what Billie is mentioning. When you talk about our city water and sewer in the county versus, if it's a typical county well septic.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the conversations we're having, and we haven't solidified a policy, we're going to look at it probably in, 2020. It's funny to say 2020, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yes.
it's going to be great.
Yeah, it's going to be kind of nutty. But so anyway, the idea is we feel, and maybe it sounds arrogant, that we manage our water portfolio better than other jurisdictions. I'm just going to leave it at that. And in that vein, the best thing for the city and the active management area, which is much bigger than the city, but it's called the Prescott Active Management Area, maybe a little misnamed because we don't have a lot of influence all over it. But in any case, we have the ability, because we've been such good stewards of our water portfolio, to maybe extend our influence into the unincorporated county and provide city potable water and city sewer, where you do get the recharge after this, it flows from the system. It goes from the potable system to the sewer system. It's captured in our sewer system and then directly discharged back on the land, to the tune in new construction areas of 95% of the water.
Right.
In the county, you have a well and a septic tank. Number one, with a well, there's no metering, so the more you use, you don't pay anymore,
Right.
which I think is
There's not a lot of incentive to not overuse.
right. And the septic tank provides very minimal recharge.
Yeah.
I've heard statistics that nationally it's about 30%. What I've heard from experts in the field in Arizona, it's about 12%.
Yeah.
So you have the difference of 12% of the water going back to the aquifer versus 95%. It's, at some level, it's just a no-brainer to see if we have the capability. It's in some ways it's selfish not to help.
Well, in 2020, you're right. We will look at that more. I think we will convene the public to try to really understand their concerns with
Right.
water in the county. We will make sure we don't have any unintended consequences.
Exactly.
And see what we come up with in 2020. Billie, anything else with the water policy?
You know what? You have a mayor's commission on water
Right.
and wastewater, and Councilman Blair will be heading that up. And he has such great knowledge about water. To really look at all of the places in the city where we already provide water, but then they're not hooked up to sewer. And we have quite a few. To look at, is there a way that we can get that done? So a couple of things. One thing, we're able to then use that recharge. The other is that we're not having leaky septics into our streams and back into our lakes. And so there are many advantages to getting that done, but we also don't want to create a hardship on anyone.
Right.
So Councilman Blair will be, I think you're almost going to have to look at neighborhood by neighborhood, street by street, and say, well, can we help them? And if not, we're certainly not going to force anybody
Right.
to do anything on this. We're just saying we want to, I'm sure most of them will want to connect to sewer if it's feasible, and because it will raise their property value.
That's right.
For
Yeah.
sure. So I think that's exciting. that
Yeah,
we're gonna do
absolutely.
that.
Well, Michael, any parting shots with the water policy, and where could people find the water policy they want to take a look
All
at?
the water policy information, what was approved the other day, and that doesn't need to get lost in translation
Right.
or discussion either. We created some really good incentives for conservation that are actually going to maximize our return. And I mean our return in terms of saving water. I don't mean a financial return. It's all on the website, www.prescott-az.gov. Did I get that right? Please check it out. We want feedback. We had 15 plus meetings with the public one way or another. We've had our city attorney staff go to special interest groups interested in water to explain it. And we're not done explaining it. And we won't be done on the outside of the city limits or the SOAR probably until maybe the latter part of next year, because we want to do it right.
Yeah, no, that's good. It's a great policy, and I'm so proud that we were able to get that into place. It's going to be great for our citizens, and it will really assure our water for many,
Right.
many decades into the
Right.
future.
And maybe I could say one other thing. I think one of the things that I've seen over the last 2 years, and what I'm projecting that we're going to do, continue to do, is to really always put the data, true data, be very factual, talk to anybody that wants to, and listen to anybody. And we're happy to go anywhere and talk about this. But having that data and the truth about water, because I don't think we've had that
No.
in the past, and it's created this fear that we're going to run out of water. And that's just, we are so fortunate, so blessed. God has blessed this area with a little Chino aquifer. It's 3 to 5 million acre feet of water. And, we use we use half of what we're allowed to use. And at one time, in 2025, we were saying we had to have that big Chino pipeline, which is $200+ million. And right now, we know, because of what we know about water, that we aren't going to have to build that big Chino pipeline at that lightning speed.
Right.
And maybe not at all for the city of Prescott.
Right. Yeah.
You know, props to the guys that, and men and women who work the system. We have a very well-maintained system for a very old system.
We do.
Every consultant we brought in to look at it said, you're very fortunate to have great operators too. Mm-hmm. We're only as good as the people that are actually laying the lines and checking the meters. Yep. And some of that's not very glamorous work, but we have a good team out there. And I think that's something that sometimes we forget.
And the centralization that we're doing is going to save a lot of money for the city. And we really have we know exactly what's happening in the water system. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's pretty amazing.
There's so much here. We could do a whole show on water. I'll just say the lakes are a big part of this as well.
Yes.
Willow and Watson Lakes. We credit, previous councils for purchasing those lakes. They're a tremendous asset for recharge back into the aquifer when we have lots of rain or snow.
And they're beautiful.
That's right. No, and there's a lot of great recreation value there as well. Well, let's move on. Road construction 2019, which is sort of a bright spot and maybe not so much of a bright spot. But Michael, why so many projects? I know, I was getting a lot of calls. Mayor Pro Tem, maybe you had some calls as well. Just we had a lot going on.
And Billie can attest to this, maybe even more than you, Mayor. When I got here, we had a backload. We had a backload of road projects. Mm-hmm. We seemed to spend an awful lot of time and money on one or two. To the point that my hair was falling out of my head trying to fix it. And what we decided, and I think it was the right decision, is we right-sized a lot of the projects that we were spending an inordinate amount of time and money on and said, we need to get what we promised this community done. And Billie, you got an email, I know, the other day too, from a downtown resident that was tickled pink that the road was finally getting done after being promised 4 or 5 years that it was going to get done. And I appreciated that.
Yeah, that was Robinson, yes. And Bradshaw, we're doing some nice things over that way.
There's no doubt it's inconvenient. But when you look at some of the stuff we're replacing, a lot of our streets actually had WPA tags from the work program created by FDR. These roads have served us good, but what are we, 90 years old, 80 years old? They need to be done. And a lot of them were downtown because obviously a community builds from its center and the oldest infrastructure is in the downtown. So things are torn up. And they're probably going to be torn up for the foreseeable future. But the end product is so much better than what we had.
Right.
And I do know that we are delivering on such a higher percentage and a dollar amount of our capital improvement plan. When I got here, it was 20 to 30%. We're going to deliver on almost all of it. Yeah. That's a huge deal. But what that means is they're out people tearing up the roads.
Right. And they are awesome, I will tell you. We have such wonderful staff in Public Works.
Yeah. Well, it's good to see that get done. I doubt 2020 will have quite the number that we did in 2019, but we're grateful for getting those projects done. And you're right, the folks that work on those are tremendous. And I really appreciate your effort to right-size these projects so that we're not overspending.
Right.
We want it to be nice. But we don't want it to be extravagant.
That's exactly right.
A Chevrolet is good, and we don't necessarily need the Mercedes.
That's right. Well, there's probably more we could talk about in 2019, but let's turn the corner and have some thoughts about 2020. What are you seeing? What do you think is in our future for 2020? What is your 2020 vision?
Yes, well, as I said, Mayor, the well-being, focusing on citizens. One of the things that and I got this idea from Dr. Ron Barnes. Michael and I sat with Dr. Barnes. Dr. Barnes started the Prescott Area Leadership. And he talked about once a month having a group, and I would love to do this, where new people coming into Prescott could just come in, have a cup of coffee, have some cookies, sit around for 2 hours, talk about, what's in our community, where maybe they would fit, or just even citizens that are here already. Just opening those doors a little more to that conversation. So I would like to get that started like once a month.
Right.
Yeah, just not quite like your office hours, not like that, but just something and so we were talking about how we would find these people. going through PAR, which are the realtors, or maybe the chamber. We have a lot of people moving in, and that I think it's wonderful to welcome them.
Right.
I always say welcome to Prescott.
Yeah.
We met someone today, the new dean of students over at Yavapai College.
Right.
They came in from Virginia Beach.
Oh, great.
Oh, she's so excited to be here. And so, yeah, so I would like to see how we could open that door a little bit more
Yeah.
to everybody
I like
over
that.
the next few years. And
Yeah. Michael, thoughts on 2020?
You know, this has been a good year, but things haven't been all sunshine and roses. We've had some controversial issues in this year, and we're still working through them.
Yeah.
I'd like to see we reach a conclusion on the AED annexation. I
Right.
think we're going to get where we need to be on that. It's been a long road to hoe. And this is more just treating people with respect and having good civic dialogue.
yep,
The only way we're going to succeed as an organization and as a community is if we work together and we agree to disagree when we disagree. We need to have a level of civility, and I'd like to see some healing in this community. I'd like to be part of the healing. I think the city has a role in setting the tone and tenor of the way we deal with one another. And I am up to the challenge, and I know you guys are too, to have some level of positivity about living in a wonderful place.
Yeah. No, I really appreciate that statement. Actually, both those things, AED, annexation, it'd be great to see that wrap
Yes.
up in 2020. It's
It
been a
will.
long haul. But
and I think we'll get there, Mayor.
I agree. Yeah.
I'd like to add one other statement, if you don't
Yeah,
mind, about
yeah.
civility. You know, we lost Elizabeth Ruffner this year, and she was just such a cornerstone of Prescott. But she always practiced civility.
Yep.
Civil discourse
Right.
was her theme, and I think that's a great legacy that she kept left, and that's what she wanted for Prescott. And I know she would be disappointed in some of the things that have happened, but she also would want us to take that charge and go with it, and I know we will.
And you know, sometimes I think collectively we all need to step back and appreciate where we are.
Yeah,
This is a good place to live.
in the present, yes.
You know, outgoing council member Lamerson said it a lot. This is a great place, and we don't have anything to be embarrassed about. We should be proud,
Right.
and we should talk more about what we're proud of.
Yeah. Well, it's really all where your focus is, right? We have so many things to be thankful for, so many great things happening in our city that's where our focus should be.
You're
And when
right.
you focus on those things,
Yeah.
the rest of it kind of falls away.
does.
But I agree with you, Michael. I hope kind of really with both of you talking about kind of engaging the public more and being out there more to answer questions and to help the public better understand what we're doing. But
Right.
really engaging with people in a way that's positive and civil discourse
Yes.
and really respecting one another's opinions and better understanding each person that interacts with us every day.
It's a great resolution for 2020.
It is.
Sounds like it.
Yes,
Yeah.
and I know we've always tried to do that, but maybe if we're more intentional and we ask for that in return.
Well, not just because I work for both of you, but you guys are positive people who put a positive face on this organization and this community, and we can all learn a lot from that. So.
Well, that's all we have for today. Thanks to our guests, Mayor Pro Tem Billie and
Thank
City
you.
Manager Michael Lamar. Thanks for being with us. Join us next month on Prescott Today. Tune in to Channel 64 or go to PrescottMediaCenter.org. I'm Prescott Mayor Greg Mengarelli. Thanks for tuning in.